like I think that I lost it and then it'll just like pop back up. I don't think you should have lost it. Like I don't think
I
so.
pray we didn't. Okay, we're live now. We're waiting for Ange to pop back up. Where were we? That was such. If you are tuning in to this second segment, we have the battle rap part is over, kinda, as far as battles and all of that. We are now talking about relationships, life, love, prosperity, all that good shit, grown up talk. By way we were talking about the passing of Nipsey Hussle and effects on the battle rap community or just the Black community as a whole. How a lot of his lessons, it seems like we're catching on to, but it also seems as if the message that Lauren London sent her boo back in January, some of the men seem to be on this wave now. I need a Lauren. I some of the females. I need a Nipsey. He burns sage, and everybody's so amazed.
Yo, Wing, you know what's crazy about it? Like, you know what I don't understand? Everybody getting fascinated with that. Yo, if you believe in energies and chakra and stuff like that, like I've been dealing with that shit for life. Like any female or anybody that knows me, nigga, I burn sage. So any man that is in tune or enlightened with energy or energies or the universe, these are things that happen. Like this is not like no, but like I'm sitting there and I'm just like, I mean, I get it, but I'm just like, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't know that he was that deep. You know what I'm saying?
But
like I'm not gonna lie.
You know what? When you listen to his mom talk, you could tell he learned that from her.
And this is what I meant.
She's godly, bro. Like she is so godly. Like man, like she made me. I was at peace. I'm like, man, if this woman is not even upset, I'm like, then why are we upset? Like that's her son. Like,
well, she broke down a couple of times as she was she was trying to keep it together. But this is what I meant by the family unit. You know what I mean? Men and in comparison to what we see, we're in this battle rap community. Let's just look at it from the perspective that it is. Females, males in battle rap, we are truly in this community. A lot of us date one another. A lot of us, are friends or whatever, but we seem to want to put on facades. And
we do. I need a battle rap chick then. Shit. Ooh.
Anyway, my point is the reality. A lot of stuff is not reality. Like, after I saw, going back, kind of doubling back, and if you're just joining, we're just doubling back on the conversation that we had previously. I saw it the day of Nipsey's funeral, but I did not want to respond because I was so mad, and I hate speaking out of anger because I know the person that I am when I speak out of anger. So I waited. But my whole thing was, I don't know what's going on with Andrew's phone, but my whole thing was in the fact that if that is something that you're not used to, that's a problem. Like, how can you say that you've loved somebody or been in love or whatever if you've never had a woman uplift you in such a way, and vice versa? I didn't just want to make that about the men. I wanted to make it about the women. So it's like, Nipsey and Lauren's relationship was what it was. But as we were saying, back into our situation, like you were saying, Mike, you didn't see that. And, and how you were growing up, if you want to double back on that conversation.
Yeah, it's really hard when, like, my mom right now, this is the first time that I've ever seen my mom in a happy relationship. I love my stepdad to death. But it took my mom into her 50s to find that. You know what I'm saying? I saw my mom with my baby sister's dad in an abusive relationship. I didn't see my mom in another relationship after that until I was 15 years old. You know what I'm saying? My mom was 15. I was 15 years old the next time I saw my mom in a relationship. And that dude was a piece of trash. That dude was trash. I wanted to kill him at 15 years old.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Like whenever there was arguments, he was taking a baseball bat. I remember one time they got into an argument and I hear him upstairs arguing, and he's next thing you know, I hear glass shattering and stuff being thrown all over. Like I go up there and he's like has a baseball bat and he's destroying their room. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, and I didn't understand why my mom was with this dude. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm seeing is like, okay, I'm seeing my uncle's girlfriend stay with him through all the arguing and cheating. I see my mom stay with, my baby sister's dad through the arguing and abuse. And then I see my mom staying in this relationship through all the arguing and the negativity. So I'm thinking, you know what? Every relationship is supposed to be like this. This is what it's supposed to be like. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. I thought toxicity was normal. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, the one relationship that I ever saw that was good was my dad and my stepmom. And I was only around them for 3 years, from age 13, from 12 to 15. You know what I'm saying? So, but what I saw, what I gravitated towards was seeing my uncle's relationship, where all the toxicity was. I'm thinking when I see my dad and my stepmom, they're not arguing. This ain't no real relationship. Like they're not yelling, they're not fighting. I saw real love.
So what you're saying is that the toxic levels of what you were used to seeing, you thought that was normal. You took that as
exactly.
Now see, I'm the opposite, because as I was saying, and that's kind of where I was trying to go with it. Growing up, I chose a different route because I felt like the suburban girl, the way I grew up. I mean, I was even a punk rocker. Yes, I had the spiked hair.
You look like you got some hippies in you, yo. I knew it. That's the gray area, man.
I'm saying it was a lot of different phases that I went through growing up, but as far as it was okay. You know what I mean? My parents, again, my mother was a Black Panther. So she was secretary to the Black Panther Party in Seattle. My mother, my mother and father both came from Macomb. Well, my mother came from Macomb, Mississippi, my dad from Madison, but they both grew up really big families. My grandmother, my mother's mother, had 13 children. My mother being one of the middle kids. My mother's mother passed when she was 45. I believe my mother was 13. My mother took it upon herself, as she putting herself through college, worked 2 jobs, and she took it upon herself to say, once the kids, all the younger kids moved to Seattle, took it upon herself that her younger sisters would want for nothing. My mother was raised with the perspective of it takes a village to raise a child. So a lot of people that, through the years, growing into an adult, I've always been told, Wing, you're fake. Well, of course, they didn't call me Wing. I became that in battle rap. But people have always challenged my persona and my beliefs and what I come from. We talk about co-parenting now. A lot of men's perspectives are, the baby daddy can always hit it. It's in disbelief that a woman and a man can have a cordial relationship. My mother and father divorced when I was 10 years old. My father stayed in the house with us until I was 15. And then he moved. And it wasn't until I graduated high school that my mother had a 6-figure job, which at the time, 6 figures was huge. But she gave all that away to be a teacher because she wanted to help people. You see what I'm saying? My father was an aircraft mechanic for United Airlines, had been at United Airlines for over 40 years. So my stability in the home was there. I was my brother's keeper. My father also had a huge family of 13. And so I had nothing but family, and the kids, like the parents' kids that were older were 18, 17, 18 having kids. So all of us, their sisters and brothers, older sisters and brothers, were having kids that were closer in age to them. And it's been that way in my family for years. So I never really had to have friends. I've always had family. But when I decided to kind of, and paying attention to, I've always been the observant person. At 10 years old, my mother and father didn't even tell us that they had divorced. He worked night shift, she worked day.
So they hit it under work. Yeah.
Right. We still went on family trips. We still did things together. They were still at every track meet. They were still at my brother was a chronic asthmatic, so he really couldn't play football. But when he tried, they supported us in everything that we did. We never seen the arguments. Only reason I found out my mother and father was divorced when I was 10, 11 was because I was eavesdropping in the back listening to my mother's conversation. My mother never talked shit about my dad. And it wasn't that they didn't love each other. My mother never got married again either. My dad said that was his wife. That was the only wife he ever had. And that's the only wife he'll ever have. He told any girlfriend that he had that. Now, the toxicity would come when his girlfriends would always want to challenge my mom. He had a girlfriend that I can't stand to this day. But he had a girlfriend that when I was 15 and he got his condo, she used to be so rude to me because she didn't like the fact that my dad would not put her over me or my mother.
What's wrong with her? That's how it's supposed to be.
She had two sons whose father was absent. She saw how he was with us, and she expected the same for his.
She got jealous. That's what that was.
Jealous. She was very jealous. I've never seen toxicity until my dad got with her.
It's always an outside influence that disrupts the nucleus of a family. Like, it's crazy how that works.
Now, see, and my mother, people will tell you, my mother was the nicest, most profound person that you will ever meet. My mother did not rush to anger. She did not play about the kids, though. My mother did not rush to anger, but she knew everybody that there was to know, from the police chief on to the principal on to the mayor. My mother and father made sure that they knew who certain people were, so that, when it comes to time, my mother stopped a whole basketball game one time because a little boy called me a bitch, and my brother decided he was going to fight for my honor. And they jumped him, and one of the kids called my house. Everybody had our phone number. One of the kids called my house and was like, Miss Brenda, they beat Damon up. Bloody, bloody. My mother came down with a baseball bat, came into the game. My track coach was there, came up to the little boy. But this is just to kind of give you, not to be long with it, but just kind of give you a perspective of what I came from. Now, what I came from, my mother and father always taught me, you never kick a man when he's down. My mother was always there for my dad. Even after they divorced, my mother took care of the bank accounts. She had her own, but they still had a joint.
Because your mom was a writer. She understood the principle. Like, it's so jaded right now because men, we just so used to just, not even saying so used, but we so accustomed to the disrespecting of females. It's crazy. And then back to say something like Andrew saying about the whole king and queens. You know how many females come to me and be like, don't call me queen. Yo, I've called females queen. Not saying that you're a queen, but I'm uplifting you because I've seen the queendom in you. I've had females tell me to my face, don't call me no queen. Got offended with me, cuss me out, nigga. Don't call him no king. You ain't no king because I'm like, wait, why can't I be a king? Why can't I be a king?
But unfortunately, those are the girls that a person like me has to contend with. And it's sad because I have to contend with something like that when a man doesn't understand this is what I come from. Like I was saying before we ended, my aunts always said, don't tell a man all of that. But I need to let you know who you're dealing with. Because, yeah, and you want to, you my bitch. First off, I'm your who? No. That we gonna cut that out.
There are strong entities in the world. Women are very powerful. Men Let's not fool ourselves. There are like 3 to 4 different types of women. There are some women that like to be called "that's my bitch." There are some women that like to be called queen. There's some that don't want to be called queen, and then there are some that just rise above all of that. You got as women like I would say like you and Ange for what you guys do and the fact that you guys are like public figures. You kind of have to tell a guy. You have to tell a guy kind of not who you are, but you got to give them a little bit because they're gonna find out on their own. Like, oh, you winged, and then your whole world is just gonna part of forever starts to become a burden to them. They might even feel a little detached because they might feel like
intimidated.
In the words of somebody that got sent to the BRC group, you might be a little bit too. You're famous. I didn't know how to act. I just to some people they don't know how to handle certain things. So I understand what you mean.
And I mean, and as far as famous, that's another thing. I was somebody in my real life. I've already kind of explained to you where I come from. My stock. Right. You know what I mean? I brag about the stock that I come from because I'm blessed to have had that. A lot of people don't. And I realized that today, even growing up, a lot of people don't. You know what I mean? I dealt with a dude that was in the streets for years. My dad wasn't having it because he told me I wasn't going to date or marry until I was like 30. But my mom understood, you know what? I can't really be with her everywhere she goes. So at the end of the day, let me sit this young man down and let him know she don't want for nothing. She'll never want for anything. There's nothing that you can do for her that she don't get at home. You see what I'm saying? So you can treat my daughter the way you want to, but understand, I don't care where you come from. I will find you if you ever harm a hair on my daughter's head. That man, when we're younger, we don't want to listen to parents. But that man respected my mother enough and respected where I came from to where this is one of my first pivotal learning experiences, because although he was a little older than me, the life that he lived at 17, I'm driving different cars. Well, I drove my own, but I had the choice of doing different things. I had a condo and different things that he provided, but I worked, I ran track. You know what I mean? I got a whole I have 4 scholarships.
You didn't fall victim to what every other woman does. They get complacent.
But let me tell you what that Negro told me. My mother and father had told me too. Don't no man want no nothing ass female.
Facts.
So if you're not in school, don't cut school trying to come to Richmond. Don't not go to track practice and forget everything that you're working toward because you're trying to come spend time with me. I got cars. I can come see you.
And
that man was dead ass telling me, because I wanted to be a lawyer. That was what I wanted to do. That man dead ass told me, I need you to get that degree. I need you to get your undergrad, because when you would come out to become a lawyer, you gonna need to defend me. Because that man he looked at it as, we're going to, like, that was my first real boyfriend that was like, you gonna be wifey. Before they were saying wifey, you're gonna be wifey. That was supposed to be who my husband was supposed to be.
Ipey, boo boo. Ipey.
Yeah, that was who was like, I'm putting a ring on it, and you're gonna be my defender. You're gonna be my lawyer. You know what I mean? For real shit. That was my motivation outside.
He had a belief in your dream, and that's beautiful. And you know what? And let me cut right into that. And just cut right real quick. A lot of men don't have a dream of their own.
Right.
To even believe in yours. Yeah. So let's go there, for a minute. Go ahead, Queen.
Nah, that's facts. Ambition, you can't buy that shit, man. You got to just have it. I agree.
Absolutely. And so all that had ever been around me was strong men and strong women. But as I was saying, my dad always told me, my mom and dad always told me, you don't never kick a man when he's down. You know what I mean? But somewhere along those lines, that shit got misconstrued. Men aren't men anymore. And
and women fall out of the norm too. So it's a double-edged sword with that one too.
Men ain't men no more. And let's be honest, for what it's worth, nigga, women ain't women no more neither.
But that's what I was saying. It's a double-edged sword. But can I just interject right now? I have to say this much. I have to say this because what we had going from the crack era of 80s, before that hit us, the men were absolutely the head of the household. They went to work, they came home, and they did everything that was daddy duties. And a lot of, and listen, I was raised by my stepdad. My stepdad is my world. You know what I'm saying? My biological father was the epitome of what comes right off the curb and falls into the sewer. So what I'm going to say is that there were men even out there who were taking on families that were not their own blood and doing it with so much love and encouragement to the children that we understood certain things that a lot of other kids didn't. And when 80s hit and the crack era and the HIV pandemic slammed into us, the social construct of what a home was like began to fall apart. I knew whole households, the granny, the grandfather, the mother, the father, the kids, they was all smoking. The most hard-hit thing I had ever witnessed was the breakdown of a completely loving family that used to have the cookouts and invite everybody around, or during the barbecue would bring like all the water balloons to the joint at the block party, and and stayed long after the block party was over and just chill, playing cards on the stoop or whatever, and the kids were playing hot peas and butter and stuff like that. I come from that era.
Peas and butter.
Listen, Red Devil, all that. You know what I mean? But what I'm trying to say is that in that era, we began to lose everything that we were about as people of color. See, because this has nothing to do with white folk. Because where I come from, I think the closest I got to white folk was the Hasidic Jewish community. And even they had their own little thing, and I was incorporated into that too, because like one of my good friends as a child, his name was Herschel, and I used to go to his house and play his piano. But that's neither here nor there. What I'm trying to the point that I'm trying to get is that the men were the head of the household, and then what happened with these drugs, and let's not forget, because everybody who enterprised on that drug trade that wasn't an addict became a dealer. Right. So now we got 5 and dime dealers right on the corner, and they're all going to jail in sweeps. And believe me, when the sweeps happened around here, I'm from Bed-Stuy. When the sweeps happened around here, they took the whole block. If your grandmother was sitting outside, she was going too. Everybody went. And that's where the breakdown started to happen. Women had to now take on this forcible role because the head of their households were coming up missing, ending up dead, ending up doing large prison terms, or were so messed up on drugs. And this is at the end of the heroin addiction phase. Because once they realized they couldn't kill us with heroin, they slammed us with crack.
For those that are paying attention and not understanding the era in which she's talking, I'll paint it for you. This is the Reagan administration.
Oh, talk that. Yes.
It was. It absolutely was. Yes, it was.
Yeah.
So women had to take on another role.
Also, sorry, Ange, real quick. Remember also, during that administration, the drug sweep or the crack epidemic, it moved from west to east. It started in the west first. Do remember?
Yes, it did. Remember that? Around and when they was raiding Watts and Oakland.
And they love televising us looking like animals. Let's not even forget that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so moving in to what I'm talking about is that women had to step up at that point in time. And it was a broken system at that point. and what was known as the head of household was now removed, and so now women are fighting against a system that doesn't want their kids to prosper.
Right.
We were fighting in a time and an era where like you either gonna fall in line with the rest of the drug addiction that was happening in the streets, or you was gonna maintain a solid family unit. And women were getting frustrated and getting angry. And then when they did meet somebody who was worth their time, who took advantage of their moments of generosity, of love, and were suddenly being called a bitch because she had to maintain a certain stance for her children, who were demeaned and degraded because they had to do whatever they had to do by any means necessary to put a plate of rice in front of their kids at that time. We're talking about a system so debunked in everything that we are told is supposed to be a family household. They went above and beyond to break the construct of who we are seriously as people. Because you know what? And pay attention, because I'm going to say something that's going to knock you right off your ass. We are the only group of people, us blacks and browns, who will openly our arms to white people. We will open up the seas for them. We will part the seas for them and allow them into our lives. And they will become a brother. And we will love them like they are our brother. But then you look at the real white world that's out there, and that's not happening. You listen, and I'm not going to say that's across the board, because there are some great, amazing white people out there. But
and what you're talking about, and not to cut you off, because what you're talking about, at one point in time in my life, I would have been like, you're crazy.
Right. No, but
like you just said, it's not across the board, because growing up, I didn't see that. We didn't even grow up with color lines. It was not until I moved here to Memphis did I really understand the Black struggle. Because I
know why? You know why, Wing? You know why, Wing? And it's crazy. Like I was saying, you came from the West. Out West, back then, that's why I keep telling people, like me moving from the East here, they be like, yo, how is it? I'm like, yo, honestly, the vibe just being on this side of the United States, it's weather, it's like kind of luxury, it's laid back, as compared to the East where everything is just moving. So we're constantly, you know what I'm saying? Like it's so crazy. So what you had was what I love to call the oh shit effect. Honestly,
and even
remember the slave. Remember 13. You are now in the 13 colonies.
Right.
Remember.
Well, see, and not for nothing, because I lived in Seattle too, and growing up, always going to Seattle to see my family members. We never, like in Seattle, I never experienced that. We were blessed.
No, I'm gonna attest to that. I'm gonna add on to what you're saying, Wing, especially like being out here. When I first moved to Washington in April, as a matter of fact, what's today? 13th?
14th.
14th. I moved here April 11th, 2003. So I just had my 16-year anniversary. I got here on a Friday. So when I got here, I caught a Greyhound from New Mexico because I was out there visiting my girl after I got kicked out of the military. So I caught the Greyhound here in downtown Seattle.
New Mexico different, nigga, ain't it?
Yeah, very different, very different. So, and the girl that I was with at the time, she was from Brooklyn. I was actually supposed to move to Brooklyn instead of moving here, but so I caught the Greyhound, and I get off the Greyhound. I'm waiting downtown, and I'm like, damn, this city's kind of nice. So my biological father, him and his best friend picked me up. His best friend's a female. He saw me, and she was like, oh yeah, the white girl's gonna love you out here. And I was like, huh? What does that mean?
Damn, served you up on a plate.
Now, okay, let me say this. Because you're right about that. Yeah.
Until I moved here, I never saw interracial relationships as heavy as it is here. I've never saw black men with white women as much as I see it here. So when Wing said, I swear to God, So when Wing says, you know what I'm saying, being out here, you don't
Arizona
really
kind of crazy.
You don't really,
No, I saw that a lot in the 70s. I saw it a great deal.
This is well after that, Ange. Like for years.
Like being in Michigan, you didn't see a lot of me being in Michigan. You didn't see a lot of black and white relationships. Being in Virginia, didn't see a lot of black and white relationships. Being in Hawaii, they didn't. You be man. If you got caught dating a white girl, it was just like, you know what I'm saying, like you're getting laughed at. Like in Hawaii, you don't see a lot of interracial relationships.
Right,
so when I moved here, it was like,
yeah, and not for nothing. We've always come down south. Like I said, we were very cultured. So it was not, we never saw color lines, but interracial dating was not a big deal for me. Now, I will say that's when the self-doubt came about with me. Because in living in Seattle, it was kind of like, what the fuck is wrong with me? And then I'm more of a dark skin. I ain't even light skin. And most of the women
I have a homegirl who feels the same way. I got a homegirl named Danielle feels the exact same way. She's like, black men in Seattle don't like black women.
So here's my thing with
I heard that when I moved here to Arizona. I'm telling you, black chicks looking at me like, oh you fuck with us? I'm like, what you mean? They was like, oh y'all don't fuck with us. I'm like, who don't fuck with y'all? I was lost.
See, and that's what's so sad, that we are so digressed in other parts of the country. From region to region, we're so different. How I look at love, it don't matter as long as you got it, as long as you can get it, as long as you're giving it back. Reciprocal love is the best goddamn thing. You will grow tremendously behind that. You know what I mean? Love who you love. And let me tell you something else. I hear so much. And what's crazy is, you know, if anybody ever noticed, if you take a look at all my family pictures, my Facebook is an open page. Anybody can go and rummage through my photos. I am the lightest, brightest, and goddamn, if I don't damn near glow in the daytime, a thing in my family. You know, and so my parents, they you know, there's everything. We are Puerto Rican, we are Trini, we are Jamaican, there's Jewish. There's like everything that goes on in my family. So we were not allowed to even acknowledge that aspect. And that's how I grew up. It wasn't until I got into grade school that I was being, and let me tell you when it was pivotal. The movie Roots came out. And oh my God, we not gonna front and act like my melanated skin ain't melanated. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, I really paid the price for everything that those kids at that time witnessed on that movie. And it was when I had to learn how to fight. It was when I had to learn how to put these dukes up. I had real long hair. My mother loved putting it in ponytails, and I would come home with gum all up in the back of my ponytails, and my hair was getting shorter and shorter. People were tripping me as I was walking on the line. So literally, I had to become something that I wasn't. I came from a home that, and I was telling Wing this the other day, my mother did not allow me and my siblings to argue. That was not going to happen, because she was going to fuck us up on sight. Right then and there in front of each other, to put the fear of God in us, for us to understand that we will fight for one another, but fighting each other was never going to happen.
Well, it was that way with us too. I had to kick his bad ass. My brother got his ass.
Yeah. I only ever had to put hands on my youngest sister. My other sisters, you know, we had arguments, but it didn't even go that far. Like, it was like slam the door and the argument was basically over, and we got over it. But what I'm saying is like, I come from this era where, like, I had to become something that I wasn't. And I had to come home and pretend to be what I was before I left. And my mother didn't understand that. My mother didn't understand, like, the confusion that was happening, the anger that was taking place. And I saw what society was doing at that time. And I definitely felt the color lines being drawn. And I hated the world for that. And more than anything, when I had to learn how to hustle for myself, to feed me, to take care of me, I wanted to hurt the very people that I felt had hurt me. So I never shit where I slept. So we're gonna take that right out of the equation, because robbing somebody from my hood wasn't gonna help me to prosper at all. And I come from that era where my hustle game, I was the strong arm. People trusted me to make sure that it was pointed and it was accurate if it had to get let off. You know what I'm saying? And after that, because I did do a lot of prison time, I was telling Wayne, I went back and forth in and out of prison, and I took advantage of what was there for me. And in that environment, again, we was all just one people. We were all just a bunch of fucking cons. We were all just a bunch of fucking criminals. But then I come back home and I start to see my brothers and my sisters. My wife is a very chocolate colored woman. She gets racially profiled all the time. And it's like, I see what's happening. I was a part of it in the 70s. And then I saw what they did to destroy what we did have in the 80s, where we were owning brownstone, owning stores, owning the corner bodegas. Shit. We were owning everything. And they had to do something, because let's face it, they weren't giving birth to children anymore. They were having uptuplets and quintuplets.
I hear you, Edge. It came back around, Edge. They did it again, Edge. Yes. I hear you, Edge.
Yeah.
I hear you, Edge.
Yeah, and that's why I am the way that I am, because my nieces mean the world to me. My nieces are everything in this life to me, and I watch them grow into these beautiful, outstanding women who are goal oriented, and for once in their lives they understand what love is. Mm-hmm. So this generation of young women, and I'm not talking about the 20-somethings, I'm talking about the teens coming into this new era. I'm talking about, they're going to understand that love is absolutely reciprocal. That in order to build on anything, that we have to support one another's dreams. That we have to learn to love ourselves, to know that we are worthy of anything that we are asking for.
That's lost, though.
But that's what I'm seeing happen in my nieces and their friends. They, they think I'm weird because, like, I say things that are a little off key just to see who's going to try and snap back at me so I can snatch a neck. Mm-hmm. But I see that they come from this good stock. I see that it's starting to happen again. I see that they want to go to college. They want to be actors and actresses, and they want to be doctors and lawyers again. Thank God. Thank God, because for a minute there, I really thought that with the generation that I witnessed now in battle rap, I really thought that was something that had kind of lost its edge. Like, the only dream was to be infamous as opposed to famous or successful.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? And infamy, there's nothing wrong with it. So listen, if you find your niche and you grab at it and you go for it, that's wonderful.
But you know what? See, and I don't mean to cut you off, but see,
go ahead.
That whole infamous and see, that's the biggest thing that kills me in battle rap. Like, this is all that y'all aspire to, and you're this. You know what I mean? That's why I don't. You always be like, listen, when you a little, you humble the motherfucker, but I don't really know how any other way to be, because this is not life for me.
Right.
You know what I mean? When I look at infamy, or when I look at famous, I look at the fact that, my mother's funeral was not a Staples Center funeral, but my mother's funeral, my father's funeral, both their funerals were standing room only. You know what I mean? People were flying out from everywhere because of the lives that they touched as a unit. My dad didn't like folks. He damn sure didn't like white folks. But my dad didn't like white folks at all. He did not play that. Listen, don't play no games. I see these little Latino boys trying to come around the house. We ain't playing.
Hey, we Browns. We the Browns.
Just saying, my dad trying to Luis, trying to ring the doorbell. Carlita come outside. Can she what? You looking for Damon? No, you're not looking for her. No, what you gonna do? You know what I mean? No. But I look at them to who they were. You know what I mean? Like that's infamy to me. I've had NFL uncles. I've been one of my very good friends was damn near married Too Short. I mean, that was should have been his lifelong partner. I've been around all of these people. So for me, you know what I mean? We used to go to Thanksgiving dinner in Atlanta at Dominique Wilkinson's house. So for me, it's never been about this type of stardom. It's like, it's never, this is nothing, and people are so cutthroat. It's like, it amazes me. But this is what life is for a lot of people. And this is
it's the only thing that they'll get that's self-gratifying.
Right. And being fake. This is not who you are. Like, I used to always be told, well, stop telling people your business. Stop showing this and stop doing that. Listen, I'm a real motherfucker. I don't care. You know what I mean? In being with relationships, I have no problem with telling a nigga that I've been married 4 times. Technically 3. I shouldn't have did because I was being rebellious because my mom told me not to, and she didn't like him. And
typical childhood angst,
right? And
you know what's hard? Having 3 kids with 3 different women is like trying to get a job with 2 felonies. No, how hard that is.
No, listen. I had 7 felonies and still got outstanding jobs. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. That was something else I was telling Will about this the other day.
What he's saying.
So I'm gonna say, because if this is what we're talking about, I'm gonna say this because a lot of men don't know how to. First of all, I think that men are afraid of letting children down. And so they have to block a certain part of their feelings out when they're moving forward. And what I mean by that is not necessarily.
Now, are you talking about actual fathers of those children?
Fathers. Okay. So I think that. So one of the things that I was always taught at one point in time was act as if long enough, then you become. So if you act as if you're like the great I am, that at some point in time, whatever, supposedly, that you become the great I am, right? But I think that it was used in a different context, because if you are a man and you have 3 different baby mothers, and, believe me, you probably went for the same kind of woman at each interval. You probably went for the same kind of strength that you witnessed in her, and you decided to have this child with her or to lay down with her raw. You were drunk every time, huh? You were drunk every time.
No. The first 2 I was involved with. My first two sons, like my 7-year-old that people always see me with, me and his mom, you know what I'm saying? I was a terrible boyfriend, but I was with her. We were together 5 years. You know what I'm saying? But that was like that both my 2 oldest kids were out of relationships.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But the third wasn't. The third, it was literally like probably like about less than a year after me and my son's mom, my 7-year-old son's mom, after we broke up. You know what I'm saying? And it was my first year, like no holidays. You know what I'm saying? Not waking up to my son on his birthday, no Christmas, none of that, no family environment anymore. And I was legit depressed.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I was struggling. This was my first time being 100% on my own out here. You know what I'm saying? All my family's in Michigan. I don't have anybody out here other than my sons. My biological father's here, but I don't fuck with him. You know what I'm saying? But I have just me and my sons. I got my friends, but I don't have any family here. So it's like a holiday.
Yeah, I don't have any here either.
But you know what? You have an opportunity to create the environment that you want. You have that. Wayne does it all the time. You know what? When I met Wayne, I didn't come with expectations on our friendship at all. If she had desired to keep me as a friend, that was cool, and if she didn't, that was cool too. Because I don't expect anyone to allow me into their world. And Ring and I have been in a friendship for quite a while, and I really do share like a whole lot with her. But what I'm trying to say is that I have watched her single-handedly
Oh God.
create the environment. And listen, and it's not blowing hot air up your ass, but because you have to give credit where credit is due. And so there are kudos that you deserve for creating the environment for your child, your youngest, because your big girl's a big girl now, and she's doing her own thing. But her child, her baby, gets this full circle of love that is paramount to nothing I have ever witnessed in a single parent household. And what she does not do is in front of her child demean that baby's father. She does not go after the men who have failed her in the past in no way, shape, form, or fashion. She allows them the credit that they deserve as parents. And then she moves from there, and she is still willing to allow those men to be parents when they are ready to step up. Well, now just her baby. And she does it in such a way with so much finesse that her daughter never even understands the struggle that Ring puts herself through in order to make sure that her daughter, when she grows up, that when she does find a man who loves her 100%, that it is going to be healthy, that it's going to be long-standing, that it's going to be with communication, that it's going to be with honesty. And you create that, though, my king. You create that environment. You're responsible for that. And I know it sounds like a hard thing to accomplish, but it's really not. Because the minute you get honest with yourself, the minute you become completely truthful to the man in the mirror, you will be able to balance anything. I swear to God, you will be able to balance anything on your pinky toe. And I mean that. And what I say, why I'm saying this is because so many men are in your shoes and feel defeated in that kind of way that they blow caution to the wind and say fuck it on every level. You do not have to do that.
That's where my mind has been for so long.
You don't have to do that, though. You don't have to do that. The minute you get honest with yourself, the communication that you will have with your baby mamas will be so fluid. It will just come off you, and you know what? It will resonate with those women because they'll understand. And let me tell you something: if they do not understand, forgive them and move on. That's what Wayne has done. That's exactly what Wayne has done. She has forgiven them and moved on. Forgive those women who are not trying to fall in line with your honesty and your truth and your path and your journey, and you keep going. See, because you can only do right by you first. And then you're going to be able to do right by your children. You're going to be able to create for them the world that says, I know my dad loves me, and he may not have been here, and I know mom might have been a little rough on him, but goddamn, I love my father. Don't allow your kids to grow up thinking that you had some type of duck, run and hide when things are a little too tough kind of situation, because guess what? They grow up and they do the same thing. A job becomes a little too hard, they quit. And they lay on their behinds for a little while, and then they calling you all the time for a couple of dollars here and there. You know, you have to understand that everything starts from within yourself. That everything that you want in life the seed has to be planted in the core of who you are. The very center of what your soul is desiring is what you give to yourself first. And then you're able to go ahead and foster that out to your children. That's the only way it's going to happen. If you don't allow yourself the opportunity to get with the way that you're feeling right now, and for later on down the line, this is a growth spurt. It's okay to grow up at the age of 35, 45, and 55. It's okay to become that person that says, okay, I need to regroup and figure this shit out because right now this is a little bit too tough. And you can do it, but you have to do it with you first. If you can't start with you, See, you're not going to be able to fix everybody around you that you want to heal. You're not going to be able to do that. But you can get better with you. And when you're better with you, you're going to be able to look at every individual in your life who has ever caused you strife, or if you see strife coming your way, you're going to be able to have the ethical ability to deflect and keep moving. Because if you allow yourself to get stuck, you never got with yourself to begin with. You understand what I'm saying? And listen, introspection is the hardest thing we have ever had to conquer. Our own demons, our own egos, our own prides, our own setbacks, our own failures and embarrassments. We have to look at them for what they are. I don't hide nothing from nobody about myself. Why? I can't. Because in order for you to completely understand the next move that I'm going to make, especially if I love you, and if I love you, God damn it, I love you, and there is no pulling back from that. So that you understand that the next move that I make is absolutely going to be able to help nurture us to the next level of where we need to go. And that's where you have to start with. You have to really sit with yourself and say, okay, you know what? I really don't like this situation. What can I do? What can I do to make this better? See, because we always look for somebody else to fix it, to get better with it, to always handle it a certain way. We always looking for that scapegoat to make it easier for us. But if everything comes easy, how do you know when you're really struggling? How do you know when you're really about to embark on something that's going to be worthy of you struggling for? You have to go there with yourself first. That's what I'm saying. Like, I keep telling women, nobody believes me when I say this. I tell them all the time, I was the ugliest human being to walk this earth. I did not like people, and I made everyone aware of it. If you looked at me a certain way, I felt like I had to reach. I felt like, why are you even talking to me? And I think a lot of that comes from some other things that happened in my toddlerdom. But as I got older, I had to realize that, and I told women this too, I said, I realized I needed people. I needed to feed off of other intelligence. I needed to be educated. See, because that's how my life started off. I was being educated as I went along. I was able to survive in the streets because people took me under their wing and they said, okay, I see you have potential. Let's see how far we can go with it. But I never once was able to think on my own. I was taught something and I went like a machine and went and did it. In the process of doing that, I never took pictures. I didn't never want nobody to understand if I was coming or going. I didn't want people to know what I was doing. And that was hiding from myself because I knew that everything that I had done up until that point was wrong. I was living the kind of life, you know, when that issue came up about Cardi B doing what she did to get her hustle on, you damn right. If I had to put a shelter over my head for the day and you were sitting there and you were rolling out, I'm taking it. And you guess what? You was going to give it to me anyway. You thought you was just going to get a little bit extra something for it. I had to do what I had to do by any means necessary, and that kind of shit made me ugly. And being that person that always had to be like ducking and looking over my shoulder, I didn't want that no more. I had to look at what I needed to do, the type of amends that I needed to make, and the way that I was going to go about it. You can't make anything happen unless you make it happen from in yourself. You're in a good position now in life to even be allowing yourself to say something like this, because it means you're ready for change. But you're going to combat with yourself. You're going to argue with yourself. Something earlier you said about how it was what it looked like to be the man as you perceived it, as you were listening to it, as you were watching it happen across the field that you were looking upon. That was you living your life vicariously through the actions of others. That wasn't you living life the way that you saw fit. That wasn't a healthy environment for you. Communication, complete, total honesty, and that's first and foremost with yourself. Because if you haven't mastered yourself yet, how are you even going to be able to create a nucleus of a family? And I know you want one. It sounds like you do. Sounds like Malone wants one as well. And so what I'm saying is that for anybody that's out there that's watching this live, it starts with you. It has to begin with you. It has to start somewhere. But you're the first seed that needs to be planted. And then you have to know that you're worthy of that. And then go ahead and fight with yourself until you get it right. Because there's no handbook to life. There's no handbook to relationships. If there were, then we all would be living biblically, I guess. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, and we all grow up in different cultures. We all grow up with different values, morals, and shit. Goddamn if we don't have a whole bunch of opinions. But that doesn't mean that we can't have what we need in our worlds. I'm sorry, am I boring you? You hungry? You sleepy?
No. I'm
sorry, I don't want to preach. What I don't want to do is preach.
I didn't go to bed till like 3 this morning and was up at 7.
Okay, so I apologize, but I don't want to preach to y'all. I just understand something that a lot of people are missing out on. And probably many will go to their grave not even understanding that. It begins with us. It starts right where we are. And meeting ourselves where we are. I'm listening, Ken. Go ahead.
That's wisdom. I said, you're not preaching. That's wisdom.
I'm just trying to like, I see so many of my brothers out there and all my kings struggling. I see them struggling with even saying the right things. And you know what makes it so sad is that a lot of the kings that I really, really enjoy have a huge platform, have people watching their every damn move, and they choose to be an idiot instead of what they can be to achieve the greatness that we talk about Nipsey having. That's in all of y'all. That's in every single last one of you beautiful, beautiful black men. It's there. Tap into that and grow from it. And you can only strengthen behind your growth. It's yours for the taking. That's why when I've had men stop me and go, "Why did you call me king?" Oh, I guess you haven't ascended to that yet. Ascend to that. Ascend to what you rightfully deserve. That's for you. It's for you. If you're thinking about it, oh my God, it's for you. Now, if you're not thinking about it and you're a whole numbnut, then you know what? Guess what? For the rest of your life, you'll be bumping into walls. You'll be bumping into the wrong type of women. You'll be bumping into the wrong type of friends. You'll constantly be in a struggle, financially, emotionally, mentally. Like it's crazy. So we move forward with the things that we understand about ourselves. Nothing more, nothing less. If you don't give yourself that, damn it, you can't have nothing. And that's one of the things that, like, why I applaud Wayne in the way that I do. There's a couple of women out here in the battle rap streets that I really, really, really admire. And if you think about it, it's the women that you see or know the least of. What do we know about somebody like E. Hart? Other than she's a battle rap god. Really. Because she's keeping her nucleus together. And she's doing that independently. For those of us who allow other people to get an inside glimpse into what our world is looking like, I think we're not doing it for likes and approvals and all this other crap. I think that what we're doing is allowing you to see the struggle that it takes to get to where you need to be. There's nothing wrong with that. So in essence, I'm just saying that, like, we can have anything we need or desire. We have to be very detailed and very careful about the things that we want, and then we have to move towards it. It's just like setting a miniature goal in front of you. It's just like saying, in the next 6 months, I think, without tax returns, I want to go ahead and get a car and buy it outright. And guess what? In the next 6 months, you have a car. That was a small milestone. Now, in the next year, I would like to, at least, if I'm not buying a home, and because not everybody's financial situation is the same, but I would like to at least be renting a home, a very comfortable place for now that enables me to continue to save money so that maybe one day I can buy a home or leave something behind for my children so that they can at least try and buy their own home as well. Because if we're moving in the right direction, our children are going to move in the right direction as well. They're going to follow that lead. And make no mistakes about it. A lot of us are knuckleheads. It took me a long time to get to where I'm at to even be saying what I'm saying. It took a long time. But I'm here now. I desire for more. I desire. And guess what? I know in my heart of hearts that I'm worthy of it. I know in my soul that I deserve to have something else. So, with that being said, like, we can't love somebody else undutifully or dutifully unless we learn how to love ourselves and appreciate the position we're in and accept the position we're in and then be able to move forward with it. Where are we going to go if we can't accept that about ourselves? Accept your truth and move forward from there. Where did everybody go? Y'all all disappeared. I feel like I'm talking to myself. I'm going to shut up now.
No. What you were just saying, just I had to make a Facebook post. I had to get my thoughts out. But no, I appreciate every single word that you just said, and I'm taking every word in, and it resonates and it's burning into my brain. And I just want you to know that I appreciate it.
Good. It just means you're in a great place. You're gonna be the greatest at what you accomplish. And don't let nobody take that moment from you ever. Don't let a doubt, another homeboy, your brother, your cousin, your uncle, your sister, your homegirl. I don't give a damn. If you can elevate just a little bit out of the situation that you're feeling that you're in, just a little bit, pat yourself on the back. See, because ain't nobody gonna be there to see those small triumphs. Nobody's there to pat you on the back when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And let me explain something else to you that's real out here. There are haters. No one wants you to get to a place where they're not gonna be. No one want, so you're gonna have a lot of setbacks where you're gonna see people trying to drag you back into that same homeboy that you used to be or whatever. That's not important.
That's why, like me, I surround myself my circle is small. You know what I'm saying? My friends, everybody that's in my immediate circle out here that I've known since I've been here, they all have characteristics in them that I aspire to be. Like, I literally look up to my friends. All of them, like, I got a homeboy named Canel. Called me this morning, too. Like, he's been with his wife, not his girl. He's been with his wife for 11 years now. They got married.
That's how long I've been with my babe. Yep.
You know what I'm saying? They got married in 2008, and I've watched them, go through the ups and downs of relationships. I watched them go through the ups and downs of their relationships. You know what I'm saying? And I see I've watched how hard he works, how good of a father he is, and I tell him all the time, like, bro, I want to be like you. You know what I'm saying? Right. I got another homeboy, my boy X. I've known him. Me and him, actually, we've known each other since '96 and ended up in Washington for two separate reasons. You know what I'm saying? And like, I've seen him, like, he's one of the most integrity-filled men that I've ever met in my life. You know what I'm saying? If I'm fucking up, he'll tell me, Mike, chill out, bro. You're fucking up. Like, when I was with my son's mom, when I was just being reckless, he would, like, bro, you need to chill out, man. Like, all the time. My friend Chris, my best friend, lives right across the street from me. I've seen him. He's been with his child's mom, his fiance, since 2005, raising four daughters together. And he does everything. And because he does music, he does bust his ass in every aspect of his life to make sure those girls are taken care of. You know what I'm saying? And the dope thing about it that they all have in common is they all had a solid family structure. And I never got a chance to really experience that. So that's why, like, I try to take bits and pieces from their personality and their characteristics to try to apply it to myself. You know what I'm saying? To try to be like that. And I just feel like I can see myself being and doing more than where I'm at in my life right now. Like, I can feel it. I legitimately feel it. But it's almost like knowing the struggle that I'm gonna have to go through to get there.
You just got in your own way by saying that. Don't
Now,
do that.
what I mean is like I know that there's gonna be a struggle. I know it's gonna be hard. Like I get in my own way by just looking away.
Yeah, and and remember I told you that's one of the easiest things that people do. They are able to just deflect it off of what their personal goals are. You don't have to do that anymore. It's not that hard. Once you get over the first hump, you're going to realize that that first hump was nothing. And the next hump is going to be your next goal. There's nothing wrong with that. Personal growth is so integral to who we are as a people, period. Who you are as a man, who you will grow to be. You still have a lot of growing to do, my young brother. You still are a young man. You're vibrant. You're coming from a good place in your heart when you're saying what you're saying out loud for everybody to hear. It means that you're ready. Give yourself the opportunity. And struggle is going to build the character of the man that you're going to be. So when you see others that you love struggling, you're going to be able to open up your arms and give them a piece of what you had to go through to help them get over their next hump, their next milestone, the next goals that they set aside for themselves to achieve.
But you know what? And I'm not sure what part of the struggle you guys are referring to. I'm tired of just struggling. I'm tired because this is where, like you said, being you, and you tell me this a lot too. I really get down on myself because, as I said, in growing up and becoming an adult, and like I said, outside of the fact, and let me get that part understood because somebody will take
we can't see you.
Huh? Well, because I'm doing something.
Oh.
Yeah. But let me make something clear as far as marriages, because I didn't get a chance to finish the part. Yes, and I'm not ashamed of that. Like I said, the first one, just being hard-headed, thinking I was grown. I've always been the type of person, I've never been fearful of taking a chance on anything or anyone. But in doing that, after I lost my parents, like you said, Ange, you never are too old to grow. Those were my lifelines to my growth. And I feel like at some point in time that just going through my grief for as long as I have, I've lost a piece of myself that forgot how to shut that shit off. And I become so tattered and bruised by so many different things, kindness for weakness, and just different values that I initially had. It's like I've always set goals in my life, like you have to have this done by this age, and you have to have this done by that age.
And society puts those on us too. Society tells us we're supposed to be a certain way at a certain age.
Right. And I feel like I failed in that aspect. You know what I mean? I feel like okay, with my oldest daughter's father, who was my husband, I did love him, but it was a time where, again, I was still very wicked in terms of giving zero fucks. I'll say that. My motto had always been, what one man won't deal with, another man will. And I'm not perfect. You know what I mean? That's something that I used to get a lot. Oh, you think you're this? No, I never thought. I've always owned up to my shit, but I'm not. I hadn't been a cheater either. You know what I mean? Because that's not what I came from. And I just didn't believe in that. I just felt like, that it's not necessary to cheat on somebody. If you don't want to deal with that person, just leave them the fuck alone. But I married my husband because I didn't want to have my daughter out of wedlock. And my marriages came by way of, I don't believe in shacking, and I know my worth. And I know enough about myself that I don't feel like it's going to take you 100 years to put a ring on it, because I know what I'm coming with. You know what I mean? I can say unequivocally, my nigga, I'm going to be the best thing that you've ever had. And I stand 10 toes down on that. And I always will to this day. But in doing that, I won't say that any of my husbands ever, like, you know, today, in my best friend even said that. She's like, you know, I don't know what you're thinking about or where your head is, but at the end of the day, I've always been a kept fucking female with my own job and my own, you know, coming into the situation. But I don't know, somewhere along those lines, like I've lost myself and my path on where I'm supposed to be. So, like Mike said, sometimes I do want to give the fuck up and be like, I'm done trying to do this, because yes, I'm supposed to be the role model for my daughters. You know, and you know, you said some things as far as, you know, and you and I talk about this a lot, but it's like, I was 5 years ago. I don't have no problem with that. And we're in an era of, I have some people that I know that, oh, you know, no, you're going to meet this person and you're going to do this and you're going to do that. And you need to have a man in your life. Don't think that, you know, this, that, and the other. Why? You know, and I'm not saying, oh, I can do without a man. I'm not saying that. My point is, my mindset has been, after my family died, everybody leaves. Men leave.
You know, so I want to say this, because we get caught up in certain things. And the saddest part about it is, it's like admitting certain defeats, because we take those defeats to mean that they're our own losses, that like somehow we had something to do with that there was something more that we could have done. Listen, you can only be as strong as you can for you in a unit that's reciprocal. If someone else has weakened in your strength, that is not your fault. That is not where you come from. That is not what you did all of that struggling for. You have to understand that there are times in our lives when people just give up. And a lot of times we look at ourselves and say, oh, nah, I can't give up. Like Wing, you're saying the excuse for you would be your children. But I think that you're built different. And with or without children, you're going to continue to strive to get the things that you need. Now, struggling doesn't mean loss. Struggling doesn't mean failure. Struggling is actually, believe it or not, the American way of life. You know, things just don't come easy. Finances just don't come easy. Credit scores just don't come easy. You know, and those are the things that are contributing factors to the way that we get down in our relationships, because we feel like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. You know, it wasn't until recently that I got off the high horse that I was on, because, you know, I was making tons of money and I was able to do things here and there. And recently, you know, my financial situation has taken a severe critical turn. And then I looked at myself like a whole idiot, because I was like, yo, with the money I spent in the last 5 years alone, I could actually be in a home owning it.
And listen. Man, listen.
So I didn't accept that as a form of defeat. And I may be a little bit older in the process of getting to where I have ownership again, but I'm going to leave something behind that has my signature on it. I'm not aware of what shit that could be, a trailer park, or RV, or the fucking car that we just recently got. You know, well, I got a car from my wife, but what I'm saying is we cannot accept other people's failures as our own. And what I mean by that is, just because something didn't work on the playing field that we needed it to, doesn't mean that we're defeated. It just means that that person was not ready for what you were bringing to the table. Not everybody's plate is going to be the same size. Not everybody is going to have the emotional growth, the mental growth enough to be able to succeed to the next level. Sometimes people have to get off the horse that they're riding on towards their goals, sit down, and take a back seat for a minute and regroup. And again, that's another growth spurt. You know, evolution is not an easy process. Us getting older, us growing, us becoming more is not a process that, you know, oh, today, you know, I had to get over this mountain and tomorrow I'm great and fine and dandy. That's not how life works. It's like, okay, what did I learn from that? Where am I going to go with the things that I've learned? Is there an opportunity for me to get more in what I've learned? Or what now do I need to learn in order to get through the next phase of life that I'm trying to accomplish to or aspire to be? There's no way that we can rely on the other person to take us to our happy place. It would be great if the other person could meet us where we are. It would be amazing to understand.
That's one thing I've learned over the past year and a half is like, I've heard people say it, but I never really understood it until I had to actually experience it. Like, nobody else is responsible for your happiness. Mm-hmm. You're responsible for your own happiness first. If that person is supposed to add to it, whoever you're having in life is supposed to add to it. It's not their job to make you happy. It's your job to be happy within your own life, within your own self. You know what I'm saying? Like within your job, your career, whatever you choose to do with your children. Like it's your job to create that happiness. Bring somebody else in. They're just there to add on to what's already going good in your life.
To enhance. And if they can't help you enhance, you have to pay attention to the idea that perhaps that's not a healthy situation for you. People have a hard time acknowledging what's healthy and what's not healthy. People have a hard time because you know what? Here's the thing. Not acknowledging yourself and that someone in your inner circumference is not able to meet the level of happiness that you desire is a failure to yourself because you're not keeping it honest. You're not having a sit-down conversation with that person. You're not saying to them, look, this is what's going on. And you know, sometimes it takes several different ways for someone to hear something coming out of your mouth. Up to times in order for them to catch up to the level of what you're trying to convey. Because if we, and let me tell you something, it's not until you exhaust every last word that you can say, you know what, I really tried with you, babe. I love you. We'll always have a great relationship, but this situation of us having a unified relationship is not going to work. And being able to move on from there because you know at that point you've exhausted every means you can to try and hold on to that. So that's why I said it starts with you first, because you're going to be able to see whether it's going to be successful or not. And it's not, listen, I struggle every day. I struggle to want to have the life that I used to live, to understand the life that I do not have, and to understand where I need to go to get it. And at 50 years old, I feel like I shouldn't have to be struggling this hard. I really do. I feel up on my high horse about that. But the truth is that, you know what, there's nobody more responsible for any of that other than me. And If my partner can't match my level of getting to where I need to go, I need to leave my partner behind. Loving them to death. Years and years of committed situations with that person has to be left behind because I have to understand that they're not ready for it until they're ready for it. And that I have to go ahead and keep doing what I have to do for me. It doesn't mean that I love the person any less. It just means that I love myself more.
But let me ask you this. Is it selfish to be mad about the time spent?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is, and no, it's not. See, because that's another thing that's one of my biggest arguments with anyone. Please do not waste my damn time.
It is.
And here's the thing. When you're having those kind of conversations with people that you love or you want to be involved with, a lot of times they're not ready to meet you on that level of conversation. They don't know what the hell you're saying, but because they're fearful of losing you in that moment, they will say the words that they heard coming out of your mouth with their own words. Quana, they will utilize the strengths that you exhibited outwardly to say something to keep you there in that place. And listen, there's nothing wrong with waiting for someone to try and meet you on your level, especially if they give you an affirmation of something that they want to achieve. See, because your goals could be very, very different. It doesn't mean me and my wife are like water and oil. The things that I love and desire, my girl's like, hey, I can't fuck with that. But you know what? I'm going to be over here with the things that I love. And I appreciate her enough for her to have those things that she wants in her life and to help her achieve it in her life because I want her to have what's for her. You understand? That's another thing we forget in this whole thing that we call a unity. You still have to have what you need for you. You know, so if I know that I'm worthy and I'm deserving, why the hell is she not?
Facts.
What makes her... Listen, I have to know that there are sacrifices that we make. And if we make these sacrifices, please understand that if I don't see any reciprocation, then I understand, you know what, I'm beating a dead horse and I really have to move on. But if I see you making a move towards achieving your goals while you're allowing me to achieve mine and then we're able to come together and communicate about that, I think that you have a winning team there. You know, I think that we get angry in the struggle over time because if it doesn't work, that's our biggest fear. We just allowed fear to take place and become an obstacle to who we are as individuals and in a relationship. You can't do that. You can't walk around with a chip on your shoulder that says you're a winner and then this big ass other chip on your other shoulder talking about the fear of failing. That's like preparing for a test your whole life. You know the test back and forth. And you look at that paper when the test is presented to you and you say, what if I get a question wrong? You just already fucked up. You know the test. You studied your whole life for that damn test. Why did you just get in your own way? Stop doing that. We get in our own way. If something doesn't work, it doesn't have to part unamicably. It can be an amicable part. You can say, babe, I love you, but I gotta go because I need this for me. And that shit hurts. That shit hurts coming to that realization because you did spend time, because you were that loving and rewarding. But let me tell you something. If you're not giving that out, don't expect to get it in your next relationship. That's not going to happen. See, because you're only going to get what you give. And even if you don't get it in the current situation, when that next situation comes, and it absolutely will. I'm a testament to that. When it does, you're not going to be prepared. Then what did you struggle all your life for? You're gonna have that person to hold hands with in your older age. We all aspire to have that, right? This is what we're talking about. We're talking about the family nucleus. We're talking about that.
To be honest, I don't really care to have it anymore.
I'm just gonna say this. You're not gonna. Let me tell you something. Life throws us a curveball because I've been with my wife 11 years, right? Off and on. She wasn't supposed to be in my life like that. I just knew I liked her. And I pursued the shit out of that. I was dating several other people. And I enjoy being single. I enjoy the shit out of that. I can move how I want to move. I ain't got to worry about hurting nobody's damn feelings. I'm honest and open with everybody. And I keep it moving. When she came into my life, it was like, oh shit, now I gotta settle down. I gotta calm down off of this. Because I was globetrotting. I wasn't sitting in one spot. I was all over the damn place. And I loved it. I traveled with a backpack on my back with several pair of underwear and some soap. And I was happy like that. I'm being honest with you. I have, my whole life, I have had wanderlust. But I knew that once I decided to take this entity into my world, that I had to settle. I had to sit down. I had to make sure that beyond all measure, if I didn't care about myself, I had to worry about the person that I was saying I love you to and make sure that she was going to be okay. I want to choke the life out of her sometime, but who's to say she don't want to choke the shit out of me all the time? It's just, it's a back and forth. It's not nothing that and let me tell you something. We're not promised tomorrow, she and I. We know that. So I'm going to go there before I come back to what I was getting ready to say. We know that we're not promised for each other for tomorrow. And you know what? I'm okay with that. 11 years later. Because I know for me, her happiness is very important to me. It's more important to me than it is my own happiness. Now, that's where we come at an impasse. Because how do I balance that shit the fuck out? How do you balance that shit? You bring it back to yourself and you realize the error of what you're doing. So if I have to let her go so that she can be the best she that she can be, I'm willing to do that. Because you know why? It's only going to make me better in the long run. And you know what? I'll be 70 years old out this motherfucker getting my husband on. I don't give a damn. My dad doing that now. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he has his lonely moments. My dad is very active on Facebook, and he will say some shit like, and my heart breaks for him because I know my dad was with my mom for 23 fucking years before my mother passed away. He loved my mother, and my mother was a demon, but he loved her. But they had different goals. My daddy was a banker. He went to college. He pursued his education. He was a Vietnam vet. He had done all these things. And my mother was from this very close. My mother came from 13 brothers and sisters as a middle child and knew nothing but struggle and hardship her whole life. So everything that was a possibility became I can't do that. My mother got in her own way because of her fear. She allowed herself to be diminished. The intelligence that you hear out of me right now comes directly from my mother. Because my biological father was a piece of shit loser.
Yo.
And my stepdad is an incredible entity in my life. I'm listening, King. Go ahead.
Now when you mentioned what you said, she allowed fear like that. Story of my fucking life, yo.
And you know what? It's all of our stories, King. And that's another thing. A lot of people are not going to own up to that part of weakness about ourselves.
I told somebody, one of my friends was like, Mike, right? Because for a long time, like when I first got out here and I first started making myself known in the music scene out here, I was one of those people that like there's an article in this magazine or like a newspaper called The Stranger, which is like a very, very well known um uh local newspaper out here, right? Very
Okay.
well known, independent newspaper. And one of my homeboys who's he's a writer and he got a copy of my first project. I dropped it 8 years after I moved here. And in
Mhm.
one of the quotes, he was talking about all the crazy things going on in the world. He's like, the world's coming to an end because Mike Phenom finally dropped a fucking project. And people always ask, like, yo, why didn't you like really push music like that? You're like dope. You've always been one of the best rappers in the city. Like you always make good music. And it was because I was afraid. Relationships. I was always afraid because I have abandonment issues. I was afraid to love somebody on that level because every time I did, something would go wrong with that person's no longer in my life. Whether it be family members, whether it be somebody that, friends, whether it be somebody that I'm in love with. Somehow, somebody was one minute they're here, next minute they're gone. I was in a relationship in 2004, and this girl named Gels, and it was Angelica, and everything was great. She was so dope. Everything was great. Then one day, she stopped answering the phone. I never heard from her again. I ran into her a year and a half later, randomly. Like she ended up going back to Guam because she was from Guam. But she ended up going back to Guam. I didn't get no phone call, no online message, nothing, no text message, nothing. I just didn't hear from her again until I ended up running into her. And same thing with my high school sweetheart. That was my first real relationship. Destroyed me. Every time that I put my all into somebody, something would fuck it up. My biological father. I moved out here because I met my biological father for the first time in 2001. When I got kicked out the military a year and a half later, he wanted me to come out here instead of moving to New York. Now, I went through hell and back with this man. You know what I'm saying? And I was afraid of not living up to his expectations as a son. Everything I did was just to get his blessing for him to look at me as his son. You know what I'm saying? I always looked for his acceptance. And I was afraid to, I guess, lose my father that I had, so he had supposedly looked for me for all these years. But it got to a point where with that situation, I had to remove that out of my life. When I got over that fear of losing him as my father, I had to sit back and I was like, you know what? I had my father that raised me. My stepdad, who's literally, he's raised me since birth. I have his last name. You know what I'm saying? I don't even call him my stepdad. He's my dad. You know what I'm saying? That's my father. You know what I'm saying? That's my OG. You know what I'm saying? I'm sitting there thinking one day, like, why do I need acceptance from this person who I struggle to get a father-son relationship with when I've had this person in my life since birth?
But let me ask this question, because that's kind of a good segue as far as men having daddy issues. How do you, as a man, know what a man is supposed? Well, you said your uncles, but as far as knowing what a man is truly supposed to be, with no example from a father.
We look for that father figure in things that we're drawn to. Like for me, it was my uncle. My uncle is my mom's youngest brother. That's my dog. You know what I'm saying? Like he was closer to me in age, so he was always the cool one. So that's what I wanted to be like.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's what I aspired to be. The ladies loved my uncle. You know what I'm saying? He looked like fucking French Montana. You know what I'm saying? Like the ladies loved him. He always dressed nice, had the nice whip, you know what I'm saying, had a good job. everybody fucked with him. He was popular. Every time we rode around the city, everybody's like, "Yo, Robbie," you know what I'm saying? He stopped. We pulling over just to say what's up to like the 8 or 9 people on one block. Every time even to this day, when I go home, I'm like, "Yo, I gotta go to my Uncle Robbie crib, crack some Coronas and chill," you know. But him at that young age, at his young age, wasn't what I should have been seeing. What it wasn't that wasn't what I should have been aspiring to be, because I didn't know anything else. You know what I'm saying? Like my dad wasn't the cool dad. My dad wore tight pants. He always wore, you know what I'm saying? Like my dad to this day still wears cowboy hat. He wears boots.
Oh shit.
You know what I'm saying? Leather jacket. I remember I got in trouble one day. My dad came up to the school and I remember somebody looking out the window and was like, "Man, y'all got to see this dude's his pants is tight. You can see the nickel in his pocket." And I didn't know who they was talking about. So I'm trying to look out the window. And I'm like, I don't see nobody. Next thing you know, my dad walked in my classroom. I'm like, oh shit. It was my dad they were talking about. My dad wore but you know what? I shouldn't have been looking at what was cool, and I should have been looking at what he provided me. You know what I'm saying? My dad and my stepmom, God rest their soul, they adopted kids, took them into their home. I had foster brothers and sisters. You know what I'm saying? On a side note, real quick, I know somebody. My girl Amber's watching. Amber, shut up. I know what you're thinking right now. But
Amber, you can come on too if you want to say something.
On a side note, Amber was talking. Amber texted me and was like, "Yo, she is dope."
Oh, thank you, Queen. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. I appreciate that.
But like, my dad and my stepmom, they had so much love that they adopted kids. I had foster brothers and sisters that they ended up adopting it. So that just add more to the family. You know what I'm saying? But I should have been looking at my dad at what I should have aspired to be as a man. Mm-hmm. He didn't have to give me his last name. He didn't have to marry my mom when she was pregnant by someone else. Whoa. You know what I'm saying? He didn't have to do any of that, but he did, and he loved me like I was his own.
That's deep.
My whole family, like the whole Armstrong side of my family, they didn't care. I'm their cousin, I'm their nephew, I'm their grandson, all of that. They don't care about any of that.
That's so
now, cool. My biological father's side of the family, I don't feel that. I have a good relationship with my grandmother, but I don't feel that same type of love from the other side of the family. You know what I'm saying? But even if like my biological father, like there's certain characteristics about him that I was like, you know what? I wish I could be like that. But as a man, if I told y'all some of the stuff that we've gone through, y'all be like, yo, like how the fuck did you not go to jail? You know what I'm saying? Like I would never want to be that type of person. You know what I'm saying? Like I say that to say, like, having daddy issues, it's a real thing, because ultimately as teenagers, as kids, when you don't have that consistent father figure, you're looking all over for it and you find it in the wrong things. You know what I'm saying? You look towards the wrong things for it. You look towards music, you look towards rappers, you know what I'm saying? Like you look towards the streets, and it's hard, man. Like it's really fucking hard when you don't have that consistent, solid father figure in your life. Right. Like I went from home to home, like between my mom, my grandmother, my dad, back to my mom. You know what I'm saying? Like I've dealt with so much when it came to abandonment issues. Like my grandfather, that was my world. He was like my dad. You know what I'm saying? Even though I had a great relationship with my dad as a kid, I saw my grandfather every day. He lived down the street from me and my mom. He died when I was 8. Tore me up. So at this point, you know what I'm saying, my mom and my dad divorced. As a 3-4-year-old, you don't really understand what's going on.
Right.
You just know that your dad is not at the house every day anymore. You just know that you're not waking up to that person every day anymore. So then I I grow an attachment to my grandfather. You know what I'm saying? Then he dies when I'm 8. Then at 10, some bullshit happened. My mom had to send me and my sisters to live in Hawaii with my grandmother. And then about a year and a half, 2 years later, they're sending me back to live with my dad. My dad's sending me back to live with my mom. Like, abandonment issues is crazy. So this whole time I didn't have a solid father figure. So I'm looking everywhere else for it. And all I can really go back to is my uncle. That was the only thing that I ever really saw. And all it was Michael D supposed to be getting pussy. He's supposed to be out here fucking these women. He's supposed to be doing that. That was the seeds that were planted for me. And I feel like, now go ahead.
I want to say that in your honesty, you're so admirable. And I think you have the perfect genetic makeup to be a fucking great man.
Right.
An absolute beautiful human being. The king that you were meant to be. You clearly see your errors. You clearly understand where you drew not so straight lines to the things that you desire. You have an opportunity now to take some of that back and incorporate that into what you really, really want in your world. One of the things that you say is about your abandonment issues. Take that negative and turn it into a severe positive for your children.
Right.
Make that something, a goal of yours, to give to your children the opportunity for them to understand that they got you no matter what. Mm-hmm. You are there no matter what. Be the everything that everyone else wasn't. You can turn that around. You have that opportunity. And I'm going to tell you where you have the strength. And just the fact that you sat right here on a live show and put that out there. Because that doesn't make you less of a man. It just makes you a man that realizes some of the errors that you made. Right. Thank God.
You know what? I do want to pick the tempo up of the show, but kind of segueing to what Ange just said. That is a lot that Mike just said. And as grown people on this show, that's something that we would look to as admirable. But you know how they say the good men and good women always finish last? With Mike saying something like that, he would be considered too real, too nice, because you're not calling me bitches and hoes. You can't be the man for me.
See, those are not the kind of women that you want in your world. That's not what you need. That's not, you know what? You could desire she could have a cute face and a snatched ass body and be incredible in the bed because she knows she's a gymnast. Whatever. But what you're looking for has nothing to do with the way that she looks. It's the way that she incorporates you into her world, letting you know that you are now a part of that, and she will do everything to foster your growth. She will look you dead in your eye when you being full of shit and say, bruh, you being full of fucking shit, and I'm not fitting to sit here and listen to that. You can talk to yourself with this dumb shit. I'll be back when you're ready for the real conversation. She's coming back, though.
But that's the thing. Okay. Now we got that part out. Now we're going back to the strong woman who, some man, because now to the flip side, some men can't deal with that realness from a supposed strong woman. I know my faults, and I know that I can emasculate a man. I've done it, and I don't mean to do it. However, there's just certain things that when I come into a situation, like we were talking about earlier, I told you all of who I am, expecting for you to understand that that's what you're dealing with and move accordingly so we can build together. But when that doesn't happen, I tend to lose respect. Now, on the way out of losing respect, I am giving you the real. Every man can't deal with that.
Facts. That doesn't make you less of the woman that you are and are going to be more of. That doesn't take away from the fact that you can be every bit as loving. That just means you got sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you're telling someone, I'm about to move on. I'm about to move on. This is what I was saying. Look, because you know what? If you're constantly throwing in someone's face, I'll leave you. I'll be bad off by my damn self. If we're constantly saying that, a person who doesn't have what we're talking about embedded in their souls is going to take that as abandonment. Mm-hmm. And they feel like they can't go back in time and fix what has been broken, so they continue to sabotage it on the way out.
Right.
That's not your weakness. That's their weakness. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? And as much as I say I love to love my brothers and sisters, I don't give a damn where they come from. If you come to me with open arms, I'm embracing the shit out of you. But if you are going to, in any way, shape, or form, jeopardize my energy, my emotional stability, and fuck with me mentally, you got to go, and I will love you on the way the fuck out. You gotta go.
Right.
I can't allow that. Right. You understand? So you're not wrong for doing that, Queen, for telling something. See, you know what? Like, remember I just finished telling these brothers, the hardest thing you ever had to do was look at yourself.
Right. No.
And when you
wanted to see what what Mike and Malone thought about that when it comes to strong women and their presence. Because yes, we are alpha females. And some men feel like, you know what, I can deal with that. It's not hood rat. It's, hold on, let me explain how this is supposed to be done. Or, I know my biggest pet peeve is I don't want to have to tell you to do something twice, or ask you to do something twice. Coming from, by way of a person that's a mother, I don't want to feel like you're my child, but if I got to keep asking you the same thing, like, I'll go do it myself, and then I'm gonna have an attitude about it. But then, yeah, I'm gonna talk to you. And my other thing is, I'm gonna dish it the way you give it. You know what I mean? That's not completely right, but I'm a
no. After you see, there's a period of time that we wait for people to get it together, and I can only imagine what everybody's time limit is, because everybody is not the same. But more often than not, if we're really genuinely loving someone, we have absolutely afforded them the opportunity to show their strengths. And if they still continue to fail you in that way, you can't, like, we can't make a person grow to what we want them to be. They have to want it themselves.
Yep.
And as much as a person could love you, they could love you more than understanding what self-love is. Bringing it back to self-preservation, understanding their limitations and therefore lack of anything. We can't expect the mind set that, sometimes me and my wife are on the same page but different paragraphs. And I'm like, God damn it, why the fuck you can't meet me here? And I have to understand, it's not because I want her there with me. It's because she has to want to be there with me. She has to, sometimes we have to wait for someone to get it together. Sometimes by the time she gets to me, I am on the next page. But what I'm saying is that she don't have to accept that from me. I don't have to accept that from her, like you don't have to accept it from someone else. You understand? But there's usually a time frame we give people in our lives that we love, an opportunity to show that they are about to ride out with you. And it don't mean putting the ring on your fucking finger. That means nothing today.
Right. That's a fact.
I'm talking about, babe, we about to get this house. Mm-hmm. And if you out there at the booty club every goddamn night, I know you're not worried about this goddamn house. I know that you're not on my playing field. I know that ownership for you means nothing than the dollar in your pocket, and that's it. So now I gotta regroup. I gotta make sure you don't have my social security number and my goddamn bank account information, and push you on out the door, because see, I don't need a bird that can't fucking fly. Cause I'm about to fly this nest. And if you can't fly, you falling. And I got to go ahead and soar and be who I'm gonna be and be the best of what I can be. And for some people, that's different levels. But we give people times. We give them an opportunity to show and prove themselves to themselves that they can be what they need to be in a unit. People don't understand that word unit. People don't understand that word honesty. People don't understand that word communication. People don't understand how to say, babe, I don't know how to do that. Can you help me? My credit score is really low. I really would like to get back on track with that. Not taking your money, but earning their own. How about those things? Someone who can acknowledge their weaknesses and come to you and say, this is where I need help. But we give them time to do that. And after a while, your time runneth short, bruh. Gotta go. Hey. You can't have abandonment issues if you're not providing what you need to provide. And someone who's telling you what I need this, I need that. Can we work on it? And that person agrees to it, but does no action. See, because love is an action word. It's not just something we say.
Yes.
It's about putting forward all of the things that you have together to get more. If you can't provide that, shorty, you gotta go. Honey, you gotta go. I'm so sorry, but this is not working for me. This is holding me back. This has become a time restraint situation at this point. And it's okay to do that. Again, we always worry about the failure aspect of what's happening.
Right.
Stop worrying about failure. See, because you being able to acknowledge that this shit is not working is not called a failure. It's called, okay, I gotta let go of this dead weight because I gotta go where I gotta go. I gotta be where I gotta be. And if I'm not with nobody when I get there again, goddamn, I'm gonna meet somebody when I'm up there. That's where it's at. And if your partner cannot provide for you the action behind the word love, you are not in a relationship that's about love. You're in a relationship of convenience. You're in a relationship of unbalanced giving, constantly never getting. You're and again, we could allow our egos and pride to get in the way, so we have to be very careful. Because that's a fine line. We have to be careful because I know what I could do. If I gotta move a fucking mountain, goddamn if I ain't gonna hitch that bitch to my back and move that motherfucker.
That's a fact.
You understand? But it would be nicer if there were two of us doing it. You understand? But I'm never gonna fall short of myself. Because see, at the end of the day, on my dying day, I'm going by myself. I'm going by myself.
That's it right there.
So if I loved you in my living realm, don't take that shit for granted. I loved you. And I love you. On my way out.
Listen, we need to end on that note right there. Mike, unless you have some more to talk about, we need to do this every Sunday. If
I'm with it. I'm with it.
We need to bring the woman and the man. You're on mute, Mike. We need to bring the woman and the man aspects together and have a conversation. We need to do this.
I'm all for it. Again,
I want to reinforce that I admire you so much. I didn't know who Mike Armstrong was. I just knew you for years. I actually knew of you for years through Facebook persona. I didn't know that you were such an amazing person. Thank you so much for being so honest and so admirable and just so forthright in being a man. I salute you on every level. Thank you.
I appreciate you, Ange. Like, for real.
Where did you long go?
He a jerk. He's sitting there listening. Jerk. Malone, you a jerk.
Anyway.
He over there listening. I said that he a jerk. I ain't scared of Malone. I'm about to unblock him to fight him. That's what I'm going to do.
This was such a great conversation. This needs to be shared in relationship groups and everywhere, just because it's not just about, it's a conversation that grown people need to have. You know what I mean? It's definitely a grown people conversation. Like I said, and in talking, we talked about this. I just felt like, Lauren's message was so powerful that at the end of the day, I just felt like people who in battle rap kind of like don't tarnish the message because of your individual bullshit. You know what I mean? It's not cute to me to be trying to be like, oh, well, I need a Lauren, or girls, oh, I need a Nipsey. These are the things that you need right here.
That's what I made a Facebook post in regards to that. Like, with everybody saying, oh, I want a Nipsey, I want a Lauren. It's like, that really just shows us, because there's already this connotation within our community that there's so much negativity within Black and brown relationships. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's so much negativity. It has to be ratchet or hood. There's this like this weird idea, because society today is all about side dudes and side chicks and shit like that. Right. You know what I'm saying? Which is weird. They celebrate it. You know what I'm saying? It's celebrated within
they sign up for it. They are waiting lines for it.
And the crazy thing about it is, like, Lauren and Nipsey, yeah, they went through their ups and downs.
They definitely
just like
did.
you know what I'm saying? Just like every other couple. But the thing is, they showed that it can actually, even with it being public knowledge, you know what I'm saying? Like, they can work through it. That love was the foundation of their relationship.
An unconditional,
exactly, an unconditional love. Like, he's like, men should be looking at this like this is what happens. You get this type of reception from your woman when you give a real, when you're a leader, when you're a man to your woman. You know what I'm saying? We can't always be out here. We can't, exactly, that action. We can't always be out here worrying about other women and shit. Like, like, I used to live that life, and it's trash when I look back on it. You know what I'm saying? It's so trash. I hate the fact that I hurt so many good ass women because of my own personal insecurities. Because I thought that I had to be out here doing this shit. You know what I'm saying? I could have prevented so much pain because of, I planted certain seeds that led certain things to happen. You know what I'm saying? And ultimately, like, I take full accountability for my fuck ups. You know, I take full accountability because I didn't have to do I didn't have to do none of the shit that I did that fucked up relationships.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But you see, when you have people that, like, when it's public like that, because everybody looks at them like, yes, they're celebrities, but at the end of the day, they're regular people.
They're regular people. Absolutely.
Regular people that deal with the same problems that we do in relationships. You know what I'm saying? They gave off the same vibe that my great grandparents would have gave off. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I got my mother and father from them, and that's why I was so smitten by her text to him, because that's some shit that I would do. Just sit there and but it ain't, you know what I mean? For me, it's like, that's the part where men got to understand,
we have to play our part. Both sides have to play their part in order to have that
reciprocation.
Continuous reciprocation from the start to the end.
Because it's a process, and trust in it.
And let me tell you something else, that in closing, that also is a process of that. And that's, like I said, why I wanted to have this conversation, because at the end of the day, there are several key aspects. We just we just brushed up on just a few. But at the end of the day, when we get to the mid part of after looking at the man in the mirror, and woman in the mirror and saying, hey, this is me. That's my saying all the time is if you can look yourself in the mirror and be okay with the shit that you've done, then you are right. You are right. That's, you know what I mean? I live by that. I'm not perfect neither. I cannot say that I had perfect marriages. There was a time in my life where revenge was key for me. I didn't give no fucks. I didn't. And at the end of the day, yeah, my karma had to be met from those things too. But what we fail to realize, and in looking back at my marriages, I don't even, like I said, I'm not ashamed of those. But today, like Andrew was saying, it's so much more that you have to put into a relationship because there's so much lack thereof in the substance of what a relationship is. Motherfuckers don't even know how to date no more. Do you remember dating?
Yeah. That's how bad it is. That's how bad it is that you have to ask, do you remember dating?
Yeah.
Like, you remember
It's a fact.
and actually like having dinner and having them butterflies in your stomach because you didn't want to eat too much. But then I'm a real girl, so I'm like, check it out. I like this. Well, I talk about it now, but you know, being bougie back then, like, listen, I'm gonna pay for this because I like to eat, and you've taken me to my favorite restaurant. You know what I mean? But having that fun, going to movies. I'm a goofy ass person, and to tell you, me and my daughters, we are goofy. We are goofy people. We will break out in song and dance. My kids know anything. I'll just give you dates on movies. St. Elmo's Fire. What else do we? Ellie loves TV jingles. She's been loving jingles since she was a baby.
I've never seen St. Elmo's Fire.
What? Oh Lord.
Yo, random fact. I have never seen none of the Godfathers. I've never seen Casino. I've never seen.
Right now?
I didn't see Bronx Tale till 2017.
Are you serious? That's the OG movie. What you mean?
I just watched Lion King for the first time last year.
Oh,
you know what?
That's a tough pill to swallow.
It came out. Look, it came out when I was in 8th grade. I was too worried about like playing video games and basketball. I wasn't in the cartoon movie.
My nigga, I was too. I did track.
Nah, them shits was spiritual.
Yes. What are you talking
They were spiritual, soulful. They told stories of love unfounded. They, of family, of commitment.
When I went back and watched it, I was like,
you have to love your person. Like Waterboy. And have you seen Bubble Boy? Have you seen Bubble Boy before?
Yeah.
And you don't tell me.
I can't with him.
Have you seen Breakfast Club, Bueller's Day Out? Have you seen any of those?
Yeah, those are movies. Like those are movies I watched growing up. You know what I'm saying? I was in elementary. I seen all the what's his name? What's the director's name? What's the director's name?
Don't start me the line.
Of what?
I can't remember this because he directed Breakfast Club, 16 Candles, Weird Science. Weird Science is my favorite movie. I love 80s movies.
But you don't know St. Elmo's Fire.
I know what it is, but I've never watched it.
That's my point. I can't even believe it.
Okay. You done touched the sore spot on Wayne. You better stop it.
Rob Lowe? Shit, what are you talking about? First white boy crush.
Shit.
I'm mad.
But I was like, even during that time when like I was into Crush Groove and Beat Street and Breakin' and those type of movies. That was my shit growing up.
What? But seriously, I mean, listen again.
Is it a love movie?
Huh?
Is St. Elmo's Fire a love story? Is that a love movie?
Kind of, yeah.
I mean, that's exactly why I wouldn't have seen that. I didn't want to watch that.
16 Candles was too. What do you mean?
But it was teenagers.
And the Breakfast Club and all of their other stuff.
But they didn't advertise those.
Shit, the Goonies, goddammit.
You seen Pretty in Pink.
Okay, look.
Say you ain't seen Pretty in Pink.
I've never seen Pretty in Pink.
But
Oh my God! Because you know what? Because of the title. Now remember, he did tell us what type of men he was around, and that's certainly not something they would have sat down to put on the boob tube.
But my point is, my 9-year-old knows who
I saw Pretty Woman.
my 9-year-old knows who Pat Benatar is, and we will sit here and sing "Love Is a Battlefield" like she was in the 80s.
My son likes old school movies. My 7-year-old, he loves old school movies.
That's a shame. And he probably watched more than you did. That is just anyway. As we were saying, you know what I mean. The goofy, like people have to be so fake nowadays. You know what I mean? It's just to me. You know, Bubble Boy. Me and my kids run around like we just Nutty Professor or something. You know, the different movies that have different scenes that everybody loves. You know, it's like what happened to stuff like that. I just, with the dating and being able to be
the coming of age movies, the realization movies, the movies that made us get in our feelings after they were over. I know exactly what you're talking about,
right.
And a lot of that is lost in reality shows, Love and Hip Hop, Black Ink.
With personality. That's my point.
It's just mainline. Everything is mainline. Mind you, a lot of these people will share their real lives on Instagram, but
somewhat.
But a lot of that shit is scripted, and so the more drama, the more they know that you're going to gravitate towards that. Let's not make no mistakes. The Roman Empire was built off of blood sport. You understand? So we understand that there are certain levels to the way that things go when it concerns our primal instincts. But that doesn't make our bloodthirst or for the blood sport the reality of life that we live in today. If we're looking at ourselves and saying we want to have a love, to be in love, to acquire love, and to want love. So that's why those kind of movies are integral to the coming of age kind of thing. When you're coming out of your adolescence and you're getting your first crush and you're dealing with like going to school and getting butterflies in your stomach because you're passing that person in the hallway, or they in your class and sit in front of you, or there's a lot we got to talk about in future shows. Like
Sunday church, Sunday relationship church.
Yes. Sunday relationship church. Anything y'all want to ask, put the comments at the bottom. Subscribe, definitely. This is the real right here. At the end of the day, we a family of people that are grown. We are not going to sit here and act like we are 2 years old, that we have not lived life. Anybody that knows me, I will tell you, I can write a book. It ain't shit that you probably ain't been through that I ain't been through. You know what I mean? I will never sit here and say that I'm innocent, but I have learned a lot from the shit that I have gone through and the shit that I've done to prevent some of the stuff, or not prevent, that I've gone through. But you know what I mean? It's each one teach one. I feel like it's necessary now.
Facts.
I feel like, in the name of Nipsey, it's necessary because this we're waking up to, we're noticing things now. And I feel like, take off the fucking mask, Tethering. Take off the mask, please.
You know what? Accept the responsibility that comes your way with knowing.
Right.
Because that's what people run from, that responsibility of knowing. It's okay to know something and to perfect it. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's the thing about it. Understand, if you don't take responsibility for it now, you will. You're gonna
pay for it. There's karma.
It's whether you do it now or whether you do it later. At the end of the day, everything comes back around. And
stop living with regrets.
Stop living with regret. But some people don't even realize that it's a regret. But they don't realize that.
I need to stop that.
Huh?
That's what I need to stop living with regrets.
That's right. You're in a position now where you can change the momentum of the way that your life has been going. You've acknowledged the errors. Now all you got to do, you don't even have to backtrack. If you can make amends, make amends. But now you get to move forward. That's what this show is about.
So next Sunday's show, what is our topic? Are we talking about regrets that we've had, that we've done, that we've made amends for, and some that we haven't, or what are we doing? Let's make it interesting.
You know what? I think that it's going to correlate into that anyway, because you have to have a setback in order to move forward.
Right.
No one in life gets that opportunity.
I ain't unpacking all my laundry. I'm just saying.
I don't mind doing that for one reason and one reason only. I bear the weight of my own burdens.
Right.
I don't mind being an open book, because if I can prevent anybody else from going through half of the shit that I've been through, I absolutely want to lay it on the table for you to analyze. Some people need to learn through experience. I think I was one of those kind of people. You know what I'm saying? And so experience is a good teacher, but it's also a deadly one. You know, and May 17th.
Taurus, that's right.
Yeah. That's a fact. Yeah.
I love her. Yeah.
Yeah, us Tauruses, you know, we either grow or we don't. You know, there's just some of us that will grow and learn from our errors and mistakes and try to make forward moves without infringing on anyone else's feelings. And then there's some that will forever be assholes. I'd like to say that out loud and personal to anyone who's listening.
My oldest son's mom. But anyways, we out.
We out.
We out.
Thank you for listening, everybody. Thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this topic.
Afraid to, all you need, if you want to come on with us, all you have to do is just give us an email. You can hit up me and Mike, whatever. Give us an email address. Huh? Yeah, drop it in the comments.
Go in the DMs, do that too, because you know not a lot of people want to expose themselves, and that's okay too. As long as we get an opportunity to talk about your topic, that would be cool too.
That's cool, exactly. Like I said, you can keep your camera off, and you can we'll hear your voice if you want, you know, whatever. But definitely, I think it's time. I just think, you know what I mean? Again, I was brought up under greatness, and this is stuff that my mom and my dad would do with people that they knew, even with kids, young kids. My mother was an English major, so she used to go around pulling up little boys' pants so they were sagging and correcting their grammar. You know what I mean? I used to remember how embarrassing that was.
No, that's each one teach one. Showing young men how to be decent young men.
Exactly. And in the coming of days, you know, just in a young lady that came to me, you know, of course, some people know, you know, there was a falling out that I had right in front of Battle Rap. We had Battle Truth on. You know, I don't look at that as cute or you know, like,
listen, having to defend yourself sometimes against someone is not a black eye on who you are.
Right.
So
you know how I am with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Having to show those type of public displays is not, you know, that's not who I am. However, you know, powers that be in battle rap have said, you know, they've come to me and been like, you know what? Motherfuckers know. And I was hearing it so much. Motherfuckers know if Winged is on your ass, it's something you did. I appreciated that sentiment. But it's still like I'm supposed to be bigger than that. Because then I had another young lady who spoke to me about some things, and it was just like, you know what? This is you're so this, you're so that. And it's like I have to realize that people watch a lot of what I do. You know what I mean? And not for nothing. My girls, you know, when Battle Truth made his comment, and anybody who heard that show, you know, we spoke more about that. You know, at the end of the day, my daughters will never see me do anything crazy, but they do know their mama turn up.
I think we all have it in us.
Right. My parents turned the fuck up, so that ain't nothing. You know what I mean? But ultimately I understood, the fact that the role model aspects to girls that may be, 5-10 years older than me, it's you still are role models to them. You know what I mean? You ain't got to be 20-30 years older to be a role model to somebody. You can be just 5, you can be 2 years older than somebody. What our other sisters older than me. Go ahead.
At the end of the day, what you're saying is don't be afraid to lift your sister up, even if you have a falling out.
Your sister or your brother. Your sister or your brother.
Facts.
I talk to both of y'all a certain way. Since
that's
y'all
a fact.
Think that I'm half Negro anyway.
No, you half Mexican. Let's not get that messed up, okay?
But well, I'm that too. Okay.
I'm Mexican. My mama's Mexican.
See? There. So is Wing. So is Wing.
Oh, it was not Mexican.
So is Wing. She Mexican and she Indian. Yes, she is.
Listen.
It's crazy because that's exactly what my mom is. Yeah, my mom is Cheyenne, American, and Mexican and white.
That's dope. That's why you're so grounded to your root of who you are. Salute to you. Hey.
Yeah, well,
some of that good shit did rub off on you.
Right. People don't know. Some people don't realize that Wing is my name. So yeah, we definitely the native group. It was funny at first. Not Wing. And then if you look up my name and you will see I am a Wing one. That's just being grounded to your roots. It's just something that I just love to do. You know what I mean? Who I am. And my sign, don't talk no shit.
All right. Let's end this here.
Yeah. Let's go. Because I need to go to sleep. I ain't been asleep.
Shit, I got a whole bunch of things to do.
Last night. I got to do some laundry.
Yes.
Get your little stinky socks together and pull it together.
Yeah,
okay?
I was already separating my clothes earlier.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Good night, y'all. Thank you for allowing us to be a part of you. If you were tuned in, thank you for sticking around and listening, because all we're just trying to do is get it right finally for a change. All of us.
That's a fact. Till next week. Wait, I have to remember what next week is. So next week
is it Easter next weekend?
I don't know.
Are we talking about this stuff on the Easter?
Yeah, it's next week. No, we should not do that on the day that Christ has risen. We should not do that. We're gonna offend some people. But you know what? We can reshare this after it drops again, and then get input from other people, and then the following week we can pick up where we left off. Plus, there'll be battles to talk about. Ooh.
The following week, I will actually be in C though.
See, well, then you know what? It comes when it comes. So we might just drop something in the middle of the week.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Maybe in the middle of the week or a Saturday.
I'm with it.
Okay,
I'm with it. Just keep me posted. Let me know.
Do not comment what you want to talk about. Deuces.